You're very welcome to the Lightweight Boxing Show. We are on the road again, and as ever, Anthony, we're going to review all the action that we've just witnessed at the weekend. It was a big night for Oldham's number one. Yeah. He's Oldham's number two now. And, of course, we're going to look at some of the action coming up this weekend. And, as ever, we've got a very special feature. Today, we're in Haywood, Greater Manchester. It's not too far from your neck of the woods as well. We are just north of Manchester, and it's the People's Gym, and it's home to Kieran Farrell and his ever-growing band of amateur and pro fighters. So we caught up with Kieran to find out what's going on.
Well, I opened the People's Gym in June 2013, and why I did it was because I actually had the fight with Crolla in December 2012 where I suffered a bleed on the brain, and then after that it was about what am I going to do next with my career, because I couldn't box again. The next thing was to train young fighters, and that's what we did when we opened the gym, and we've been doing very good since. The kids coming here because they actually want somewhere to go, to get off the street and to do something with their lives, and boxing is a very good place to do that, and it's proven with myself, even if I didn't make it as a world champion like I wanted it to be, I'm still doing my thing and I'm doing very good. And then you look at lads like Crolla, who's gone and done it, achieved the dream, gone from the amateur right through all the way to the top, fighting Lomachenko for the WBA world title. For me, I just think I just do boxing in every sense of what it is, and I don't want to just put a suit on and just say, look, I'm the big time promoter. I don't want to be that person, you know what I mean? Like maybe when I'm trying to chill out in maybe 10 years time, and that's what I want to be doing, but I'm only 32, I've just turned 32-year-old, you know what I mean? I just feel like I'll just keep doing what I'm doing for now, you know what I mean? Until it fits, till I find what I really want to do. But at the minute, if you're asking me, I think it's the training. I love training the fighters, you know what I mean? And I think during the pandemic, that showed me what I wanted to do more. I was managing or promoting, and we're really busy with it during the 2017, 2018, 2019 period. And 2020 I started off, right, I'm going to do the show again. I've had kids who have had fights where they might have lost a few fights, might have lost 4 or 5, then they get that win. But then they knew that they worked so hard, they eventually got that win then, you know. And that's what it's all about, and that's life. You know, you put the hard work in, and you've got to keep consistently putting that hard work in, then you'll get the results. Pandemic coming, I'm like, well, everything's come to a stop now, but I really like training fighters, so I could just continue doing that. And then obviously when the boxing started going again, 2021, we did a show in Barcelona, which was sick. We did 2 shows in the Bowlers, where I box Anta. Then we've got we've been busy this year with the shows as well.
Well, fantastic to see and hear the brilliant work that Kieran's doing at this gym. We're going to hear a lot more from Kieran in a bit, because I know you wanted to catch up with Kieran because there's an incredible story really, and that there's so much history between the pair of you. So more of that to come here from the People's Gym in Haywood. But of course, as we always do, we have a look back at the action that we just witnessed at the weekend. The sensational performances on both sides of the Atlantic. Firstly, let's start. A fella that you've been training with, you've been part of the coaching team, you were in the corner, of course, at the weekend at the Copper Box, Mark Heffron. Yeah. He's threatened to do it before, hasn't he? He has. A few times, but it was his night. He finally gets that title.
It was, and he wasn't going to be denied. And everyone's knew about Mark Heffron. He's unbelievably talented, but the few times he's fought for the British title, they've not been his night. He's not performed the way he should do. I think Mark would openly say that. And it was third time lucky. It was third time lucky. He went in there, you've got to remember, with the bookmakers, he went in there quite a big underdog. You've got to give massive credit to Mark Heffron. Joe Gallagher, it's his 12th British champion. You know, it was an emotional night as well, because people forgetting the build-up. He lost his mum, who he was unbelievably close to, and he sort of broke down a bit in the post-fight interview, but then he did again in the changing rooms, and he just wanted to make the people around him proud. His girlfriend Rebecca, his dad back home who was watching. I know his brother Ron was there. We was just, as a gym, was super proud of him. But the next day, you mentioned about Oldham's number one. I went into the local Costa the morning after and got asked, did I see the Mark Heffron fight? I was like, I was in his corner. I was there. But then, 2, I went up the road to the B&Q. Everyone wanted a barbecue, didn't they? Yeah. On Sunday, and people was talking about it to me in there.
Heffron Sundays, it's
called. It was
yeah.
Heffron Sunday, but it was, and I put it in the gym group chat, and it was brilliant. It was like, it really was the talk of the town.
Fantastic. Well, there were some other brilliant performances as well. Dennis McCann continued his progress. And
very good.
Hamza Shiraz as well. Again, got hold of his man eventually as well, didn't he?
Did. Excitement. He touched down, but he looked very good after that. But, it was a great little lesson for him as well.
Yeah.
Great learning fight for Hamza Shiraz, Young Boxer of the Year.
Yeah.
Exciting. He's going to be in some exciting fights. But he looked very well. It was, all in all, it was a great card, to be honest. It was a very good card.
Now, across the sea, if you like, there was another fella, he might have a bright future, I think.
He might.
Ryan Garcia, again, Javier Fortuna. I mean, you did call it, I've got to say, fair play to you. You said it would be inside 6, and you just got there.
Probably some people who maybe aren't that familiar with Ryan Garcia or boxing in general who are like, what? Ryan Garcia should be beating this guy. Look how much taller he is. But guess what? People want to throw, and he caught him with a left hook again. And Javier Fortuna may not want to absorb any more punishment here tonight. Out comes the mouthpiece.
No mas. No mas.
Ryan Garcia, a dominant performance over a former champion in Los Angeles.
I said it before, very similar to Luke Campbell. When he can walk a top-class fighter down the way he does, letting power shots go, and it was similar. It was a body shot.
Yeah.
One of the knockdowns was very similar, reminded me of the fight with Luke. But the only disappointment for me, but which I always knew was coming, he's now saying he's done at 135. So there was some unbelievable fights to be made in that division, and there is at 140. But I always knew that was coming. I know they're talking Tank Davis.
Well, they're still talking, regardless of the
they're going to talk.
step up.
Do I think we see it next? No. Would I love to see it next? Yes, absolutely. But I think the only negative, but listen, it's the right wing as well. He's growing. Ryan Garcia, a young lad. I don't, you don't want to be holding him back in weight, boiling him down too much. But that's the only disappointment. He was a great name in a great division, and it's just a shame we never got to see those fights with him.
I don't think the thing with Tank is dead by any means, by the way. The way
We
he's
shall
talking,
see.
he's desperate
No,
to get
he's desperate for the fight. And I seen him back in 2018, and he was telling me off camera that is the fight I want. So it's 4 years on. 4 years on, he's still saying he wants it. I'm sure Tank wants it as well, but I think there's a little bit of outside the ring business there with egos, with promoters. That's probably stopping that, but hopefully we get to see it.
Well, as discussed, we are going to hear a bit more now from the man himself here, Kieran Farrell, because, yes, there's the shared history with Anthony. So as we've been doing, you've already been to see John Murray, your old foe, Derry Matthews and Andy Morris. But now you get to sit down with Kieran, and this, it's fair to say, a bit more emotional for you to sit down with Kieran, given what happened. Obviously, you had the bleed on the brain straight after the fight that you had.
I could get dead upset talking about it, so I have to, switch off from that, when talking to Kieran. But yeah, of course, it's hard. I don't want to say, it's about me, but it's hard for me talking about it. And Kieran, I'm sure, but then it also gives me a bit of peace because I see how well he's doing now. So, yeah, check it out. So, Kier, we go way back before that night in December 2012. And I think that's what led us to here. Yeah. And obviously it's, for me, and for us both, I think we spoke about this, it probably took a few years for me to step foot into it and for us to sort of, it sounds soft, get over it and sort of be mates again. Not like we ever fell out, but there was a little bit of needle, which, expectedly so. And I think there was this estate, I think it was, I couldn't imagine the crime rate was anything above 0, because I think they all come to watch you that night, didn't they? But
100%. Yeah.
No, but, going back to that, Kate, I think you was out over training in Belfast at John Breen's gym with him and Eamon McGee. Yeah. I'm right in saying that, aren't I? Joe, will you just take us back to that time?
Yeah. So,
when the fight was made and...
So, I was originally meant to be fighting Tommy Coyle, and that went to purse bids, and Dave Colwell won the purse bids and Tommy Coyle pulled out. So then I've got the English title fight, and I've got no one to fight for it, and it was the prize fight that night. You was in it, there was Gary Sykes in it.
It was a great prize fight, Derry Matthews.
And even I was meant to be in that at one point, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you was,
Then because of everything what was going on in my personal life, I had to come out and... but I still had that English title fight, so I won the Eliminator when I beat Joe
against Shove, body shot.
Yeah, so when I had the fight and he pulled out. Like Dave Caldwell texted me, and I actually remember. I'm gonna be straight on camera now. I remember where I was. Yeah. So I said, oh yeah. I said to Chris Mailer. I remember saying to Chris Mailer in 2012. Oh, I don't know where I was now. I was walking back from Pizza Hut. Yeah. I had a pizza in my hand. Yeah. I swear that wasn't my life. What like. I had a pizza in my hand. Me and Nathan, I walked to Pizza Hut and we're walking back on Pilsworth Industrial Estate. We're walking back and I had a pizza in my hand and. A text said, "Oh, I would love to shut him up," and I felt like he was talking about Tommy Coyle again, like it's back on, like, and it weren't, because Tommy Coyle was saying things like, "Oh, he'd knock me out in sparring and stuff like this," which was a load of bullshit. He actually never did knock me out in sparring, but then what's it called? He said, "I'd love to shut him up," and he went, "No, I think you're on the wrong lines, mate." So I'm like, "Who could it be?" I'm like, so I texted him. I put, it's got to be Derry Matthews, Gary Sykes, or Crolla.
Yeah.
It's one of them, mate. And I thought in my head straight away, like, Anthony Crolla, it's Anthony Crolla. But it was so surreal to me, man, because, mate, you were meant to be fighting Eric Morales before me, you know what I mean?
No, I know it. That point in, like, my career, in the space of 9 months, it had just
turned
gone
round,
mental. Turned out about 12 months. Yeah. It had really turned round. One, bit unlucky. Two, it was a blessing in disguise.
And from what I see as well, even with your career, is that, you know, it's that consistency, and it's about just keep going back to the thing. And I tell everybody about you as well. And look, you're fighting Lomachenko out there in LA. Yeah. And if you beat him, mate, you was going to be regarded as one of the pound for pound best. Yeah. It's mad to say that you've gone from a kid who's boxing at age 11 to now boxing at LA and fighting for potentially to be regarded as one of the best pound for pound in the world. I said to Dom on the build up to the fight with you, and I got no excuse, because what I did that night was what I was meant to do. Yeah. I was meant to throw all them shots at you. I was meant to do that, and whether I won or I lost, that weren't even a thing for me. It was about fighting you, man. You know what I mean? And it's like when Tommy Coyle fought Derry Matthews. It didn't matter if he got knocked out. He come on from there and he built himself and built a name for himself. And I know when I come out of that fight with you, and win or lose, I was going to be a better fighter for it. And people would have sat up and took notice, like, wow, look at that kid, 22 years old, he just mixed it with Crolla. And
I always forget how young you was, you know, kid.
You went on to win a world title, you know what I mean? And I feel like I was only, that was just all steps, you know what I mean? Like, we all see Floyd Mayweather, and it's not about being 44 or 49 or 50, it's about being
in real fights.
Yeah, and for me, and I used to watch Arturo Gattis and Mickey Ward and Antonio Margarita versus Miguel Cotto and Diego Cruz versus Lucy. You know, in my own little way, and that fight against yourself was one of them fights.
It was a brilliant fight. Do you know what? Yeah, I believe that. I'm like undercard, small hall show fight. Yeah. If that would have been on a bigger platform.
But you look at the English title fights you see today, like they're not on the same level. You know what I mean?
Exactly that. You know, when I think of that fight. And I had a fight with Andy Morris for it, and I genuinely, without bigging myself up too much, I think he used to always joke with Callum Smith. He goes, "You had those two fights, and you see some of the others, and I'm not throwing shade at any way in front of us." And you think, how does that work? Do you know how does that? Do you know what I mean? But that's just it. That's just it. It was a look of the draw, and
you know. But again, even for the old division, and I looked at it, I shared it the other day. When we boxed each other, so after I won essentially every title, I was ranked number 8 or number 7 in Britain. There was Ricky Burns, Kevin Mitchell, John Murray, yourself,
Gavin Rees,
Derry Matthews,
Terry had just moved up. Alex Arth, was he still around?
Like Tommy Coyle were there.
Wow.
I was there. You know what I mean? There was
either one of those would have been a great British title fight.
You know what I mean? And I think the top 15 or top 20 was all. There was Kevin Hooper was unbeaten. And,
at the time,
champion. There was like so many good fighters there.
Kevin Mitchell. Said Kevin Mitchell.
Kevin Mitchell was there. So I know. It's madness, man. You know what I mean? And everything. Carl Johansson might have been just falling off round about there at that time. You know what I mean? But like, you know. The top 15, 20 in the UK at the time was an hard division, you know what I mean? Yeah. But honestly, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it because I thought, right, we'll beat him, then I'm gonna beat him, you know what I mean?
And you was like, boxing was just your life, wasn't it? Like obsessed, obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I think Do you know what, Kieran? And I've always said to you, like, that night, I couldn't believe the strength of you. And it's mad when I think you was only 22. And I know you said, I put this on after the fight. You know, the amount of weight you put after the fight. However, I always say, do you know, working on the roads, just like, do you reckon that sort of built that in you? Do you know what I mean? With your dad on the roads.
Like, you know what, I tell you now what it is, Anya. So, obviously, my dad is part of my inspiration to boxing and like, I've heard a few quotes before in the past. Like, a quote is, a father's disappointment is a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
If I ever thought I'd disappoint my dad, it really pissed me off, you know what I mean? So, like, I used to sort of use that as well when I was boxing.
Of course.
And my dad used to always say, like, watch our Kieran, he wouldn't take a step backwards, so he used to bring a minibus of lads to watch me fight.
Yes.
And if I took a step backwards, I thought,
you'd feel like
I've disappointed
even though you wouldn't have been.
I'm like, when I think about it now, I think, well, why did you just step back and throw a jab, you know what I mean? Like, and I never like did that.
Some things could have been made easier.
I never did that. And like when I'm teaching boxing in here, I'm teaching people to do that. I'm like, well, I never did it, you know what I mean? I train people how to beat me, and you know, if I get that same mad person in here,
install a bit of that into them as well, or look to polish them.
I know I can. Like, my come forward game is my game anyway. I know that I can do that, but like I said, maybe with times and places, like I say, Emily's developing a little bit more of it now, which will make her a whole complete fighter. For me, like I don't know, like with the training, like I think it's easier just to teach them how to beat a sort of Kieran Farrell. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No one knows you better than yourself.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's okay. You know, obviously that night, and there was the rehab to get you back, sort of doing what you're doing now and stuff. How long was it before you was in this place that? And listen, there might still be days now, but so you accepted you was never going to watch the game. Because like I said, I know how much you was obsessed with boxing.
Yeah.
I
think. You know when Nick Blackwell had the second injury? I think it took till that point for me to, I actually thought, because I knew that I weren't getting a license, but I was sparring.
Yeah.
I was being, I'm not gonna lie. I had my mate had come in, and my mate was 16 stone, and I don't know why I thought it was all right, but I do 10 rounds with him, and he didn't know, you know what I mean?
And if something would have happened, God bless.
And he doesn't know, and I'll be honest, what happened one day is, do you know when you get buzzed up?
Yeah.
So he dipped me with a shot, and I got buzzed up, but I liked it.
Yeah.
And I thought, mate, I'm going to fucking kill you now, you know what I mean? But then I thought, this is wrong, this, and I sat there, when the Nick Blackwell had that second injury, like, what are you doing, you know what I mean? What are you doing? What am I getting out of that? But what will my family lose from that? You know what I mean? Like, what will my family lose from my greediness and selfishness to get in here? Yeah. And like, look, I get in all the time with the little kids and that. You know what I mean? I get in with the kids all the time. Like, we do some body spars and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But
since that day, you'll never start taking headshots.
I try your best not to with them pads, but you
know,
know,
I mean, might be the other pads,
but other than that, like it was.
And that's what it took.
It took that long, you know what I mean? Because all it was at first, all 2013, even when I opened there, I still believed that I could get an Irish license.
Yeah.
I applied for my Irish license at the end of December 2013. And they were like, look, you've had a good career, call it a day. I'm like, right, shit, now I've got to go to Japan, And then I was just thinking about, like...
Just not wanting to accept it.
Yeah, I was just thinking, but then I had a couple of kids come through who was part of the behavioural unit at St Cuthbert's, and it was Brad O'Connell who beat Tommy Fiore and Lyndon Clayton. Lyndon Clayton were beating everyone. And Lyndon Clayton was that kid who I said... I could taught him. I taught him Kieran Farrell style, and that was when I first learning how to teach fighters. So he imitated everything I did, but he looked part and he could punch hard as well. You know what I mean? Because we took him to sparring at Fox and that, didn't we?
Yeah, he was more than an handful.
And I remember because he sparred Finger. Dylan.
Of course.
Dylan had about 20 amateur fights.
He was more than an handful.
I was like thinking, right, I'm gonna put him with Brad Ree next and shit like that. You know what I mean? I was trying to push him on fast. You know what I mean? Because I knew that for 3 2-minute rounds, he's gonna
an handful.
He's gonna be an handful for anyone. So, I think that probably took my mind off thinking that I'm going to fight against what these 2 kids now.
Yeah,
but then other little things what happened, like obviously I got granted the British Empire Medal off the Queen. I'm doing this now. Then I got a promoter's license. Then, you know, even though I still wanted to do that, I had stuff going on where I'm manager now, I'm promoter now, and I've got a medal from the Queen. I'm doing all this stuff, and I thought, what's the point in that? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it for me. Even though it's so selfish, if you ask me today, and even though I know the repercussions, will I box tomorrow? And I can do it, and I'm a licensed to. I'll do it. I'll do it, mate. And I won't even want to train. Give me. I'll do a 15 rounder with the best lightweight in the UK. Who is it? Adam Azim, mate. I box his head off.
Okay, so like about the actual fight itself, we've spoke time and time again, like how tough it was. Listen, the fight was unbelievably tough, but I think it was the aftermath, and obviously I've said it time and time again. You know, seeing you fall ill straight away is one of the very hardest things I've ever had to deal with in life. And like after we mentioned, it was near 2 years before we. Yeah. And I told you I drove up here, and it was like put the postcard in and just started driving. Yeah. And if any excuse would have come up for you to like, I could have turned back round and avoided it. But I think like that's like I've told you that's the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with. So I'm
gonna say like, you know, for me, and everyone goes on about like for me how tough it was for me, but like when I see my family having to deal with it, and I know like you had your own demons and about it all. What I mean. How long did it take you to get over all that, you know what I mean?
Well, I told you, like, I didn't know it affected me until I got told, like, in the gym for a good 18 months. I know that doesn't sound too long to some people, but when you're preparing for big fights, it's a long time, isn't it, mate? And there was that, and I think coming here that day, it was like, I wish I would have done it sooner, but I think, and you said it, and both said, we probably needed that bit of time. 100%. You would have come in straight away, it would have been like, no, it's too soon. And I think I come in that day and you was mad busy with all the kids and I felt, do you know what I mean? I felt proud, but I was like, not from a selfish point where I was relieved as well. Well, I probably was, but I was like, I thought, no, I could have sort of like,
but you know what,
acceptance that you was going to do what you was going to do here. What you're doing now, I knew that was going to happen then.
It probably was well better because, like, you know, when the first 6 months I was so slow. I was so slow, and that would affect you even more. You know what I mean? It's like it's like even talking. I was talking like that. You know what I mean? Like and that would you would have identified that shortly, especially before obviously a box shot. Because I was singing all sorts of shit. You know what I mean? And saying all sorts, and I was fast a bit. Like we were talking before about the purple hoodie and the chinos and the Converse. I
want to dig them out. The Converse.
So
to complete the outfit.
So obviously, like you would have seen it yourself, like, and I would, you know, it probably done you the world of good to not come back till a little bit later. You know what I mean?
Okay, it's good to see the things you're doing here, mate. It's good to see the things you're doing here, and mate, keep breeding champions. Every time I come down here, mate, I see it, and there'll be, like you says, the conveyor belt's well and truly running now.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. Nice one, mate.
Sick.
Well, some chat that with yourself and Kieran. I mean, again, I'm aware of that story, but it's always fascinating to hear you go through that.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad we could joke about a few things then. But yeah, no, it is. It's a lot of emotion involved in that. Do you know what I mean? It's but then, like I say, to see where Kieran's come from then is unbelievable.
Yeah, and obviously the future is very bright.
Absolutely.
With the amount of hats he's wearing as well, of course. He's a busy lad, isn't he?
He's a busy man. He must be mad. Well, he says he is, but he's juggling arts, but he puts 100% into every one of them.
Fantastic stuff. Well, again, there's a lot going on in the world of boxing. There's a lot of chat about the heavyweights, of course. There's a lot of chat on every level. So it's not too far, of course, from Joshua Usyk 2, or Usyk Joshua 2, as I should say. That's going ahead, obviously, in the Saudi desert. And I think there have been more fights announced for that card as well. So it's really building on that one. But there's also a couple of smaller hall shows this weekend. I think there's one in your hometown of Oldham. There's also one in Newcastle because it's on Fight Zone. And one of the fighters on that card in Newcastle, it's topped by Tommy Hodgson, who's a real top talent, a real Newcastle talent coming through. But Harrison Hobson, a young lad from Sheffield, who's managed by a very special character, none other than the White Rhino. So I thought it's only right that I catch up with Dave Allen. I've not spoken to him for a while, and of course he's got his own team of fighters that he trains, manages, and will he come back himself?
It's 3 years it's 3 years this weekend I watched David Price, and since then I've had 3 fights. Combined, have lasted about 3 rounds. Alan Babbage is always flirting with me, but never puts out. So, well, the thing with Babbage is, if I watched him in September, I wouldn't beat him. He'd knock me out in a couple of rounds because I've done 3 rounds in 3 years. I'm off the pace. Whenever I get in shape, Dom, I don't get much luck. The Chris Lovejoy incident, I was in great shape. Lenroy Thomas rematch, cut eye. The first Lenroy Thomas rematch never even turned up. It didn't even come over here. So whenever I get in shape, things always seem to fall out of bed, and you just think, well, what's the point? This has been all through my career, getting in shape. Things will go wrong.
You know him very well. You've trained with him. You've been in the ring with him many times. Is he retired?
He retired and vacated the belt. Let someone else box for it. I just want to see him fight the winner of Joshua and Usyk. Fight them, beat them, and retire as one of the best of all time. Simple as that. Joshua Usyk, I think Usyk will win again. I think Usyk will stop him this time. I think Joshua will try to be more aggressive, and I think that's the worst thing you can do with Usyk. And boxing Usyk, beating Usyk the first time's hard enough, but beating the second time, I think it's nigh impossible. Deontay Wilder will knock Joe Joyce out, I believe. Joe Joyce has the potential to beating anyone on a given night because he's not relentless, but if he thinks he's going to walk through like a Wilder or a Joshua or even a Fury, the way he boxed Hammer and others, he'll get knocked out like he did when he boxed Kuzmin, the amateur.
Just you mentioned before Conor Benn, and again, there's a lot of news rumbling around, obviously, at the minute about himself and Chris Eubank. Is that something that you want to see, or is the size difference just too much and you want to see him go somewhere else?
The size difference is too much because if he wants to fight Eubank, go to 11-6. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't bring it down to 11-2. If it happens at 11-6, Eubank stops him. If it happens at 11-2, it's interesting, but it's interesting because it becomes dangerous for Eubank, the fact that he's killing himself to do the weight.
Yeah.
If the fight, it just stinks of like, they don't believe he's the best welterweight in the world, do they? They can't do. They don't believe he's the best welterweight in the world now. If he fights Eubank, because it's a money grab, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so I'd watch it. It'd be really interesting. I'd be interested to watch the dads at it, but in terms of a fight, it's a bit of a circus, more of a circus act for me. I don't like it. I don't think it's. The fights I want to see Eubank in with a top 5 middleweight, and I want to see Ben in with an Avanesian or a Thurman. I don't like it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, the White Rhino himself, the one and only Dave Allen, if he'd just get off the fence now and again, if he'd just give you the odd
just
opinion.
Say what he really thinks.
Tell the truth.
And just be a bit more honest, on what he really thinks, yeah.
Top character.
You can listen to him all day, though, Dave. And listen, all the joking aside, he knows boxing.
He does.
And he works very hard with his stable of fighters that he's got.
He does indeed. Now, before we go, just wrap up a couple of bits. Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr., it's not going anywhere. I mean, again, it's been talked about the deal being done and all the rest of it, but where do you stand on these kind of catchweight fights?
I'll be honest, I've not got the same interest that some people have, but I get it's a massive fight and the numbers it'll do. Like, I get that, and boxing it's a prize fighting business, and the prize for both will be very big financially. So totally understand it, and it will put boxing also the crossover. They'll be on, is GMTV still about? GMTV,
no,
Good Morning Britain and all that. That's the kind of thing, especially with the history of the fathers and stuff like that. But it's a great fight. And listen, there's no denying, if it was at middleweight, you'd be like, wow, it's kind of crazy. But then the fight that he's talked about being a pound or two over light middle, is it 156? Is the rumoured weight, if it does get made, with rehydration clause, then you start to think, what's that going to take out of Junior? Because when he gets on those scales, there's nothing on him. So there's muscle that has to come off there. So, no, it is fascinating. I can't lie, and I will certainly be watching it. And I think anyone who said boxing wise says, no, I'm not interested in it. Listen, it's a rough fight. I'd rather see, yes. But it's a fascinating fight.
Well, that's about it then from the People's Gym here in Haywood. Thanks very much to Kieran Farrell and this great stable of his that's ever growing. But next week, we're going to be in Sheffield. We're going on the road. We're going to catch up with Dalton Smith and that busy gym at the Steel City Gym in Sheffield, and
great
real
gym,
talent,
some great, massive. I've been singing Dalton Smith's praise for a long time now, and I believe genuinely got a British title to win first, but I believe he's talking about a future world champion there.
Yeah, and a couple of good shows to look forward to this weekend, particularly the one in Newcastle on Fight Zone.
Yes, so Tommy Hodgson, great talent, and a little undercard as well.
And thank you very much indeed. Before I go, I just nearly forgot, don't forget, subscribe, like, do all that stuff on the YouTube channel, turn your notifications on and all the rest of it. The ever-growing Lightweight Boxing Show. Thank you for watching.